So I started building on that. I pulled in mentors to help with this situation. And once we start getting assigned children, I actually placed them with people I felt could help them or could relate to them. And I've had to go up to Albany and train with OCFS. So that kind of opened Saving Our Tomorrow up to not just one lane. It put us in a whole bunch of lanes. We have our care management portion. We actually fought for a contract with one of the housing developments that own, well, they had most of the shelter programs here.
Future risers, future risers, future risers. We gonna have a t-shirt soon. Wait. We gonna have a t-shirt soon. Wait. I'm working on it.
Uh-oh.
Merch really is coming in 2025. I'm working on some things. Of course, I needed to be a little different. You know what I'm saying? So I'm taking my time with it. Also next year, that's when we'll actually publicly bring the website. It has been developed, but I'm thinking of going in a new direction. So that is your update, Future Risers. Haven't forgotten anything that we promised, but we are enjoying these conversations and we don't want to rush the education, you know what I'm saying, in the conversation. So that's what we're rocking right now in 2024. These network, these wonderful women, and I got a dude coming on here. So don't act like it's only for the women. Okay. More on that later. Hey, Miss Sounds is here, back with Miss Jasmine Clay.
Hey.
Clay. Miss Sounds, say hey, hi, how you doing?
What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Miss Sounds here, and I'm excited for the conversation today with Jasmine.
Yes, Jasmine, two-timer back again. What you doing?
I love you guys. I might be back again.
Okay. You're welcome.
She's brave. She's back. And let me remind you, Risers, her organization is called Saving Our Tomorrow. You got to sit up when you say that thing. You know, you got to be hunching down like that. Then you got to boom.
No,
soldier.
Saving
our tomorrow. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to have Ms. Jasmine really educate us on the different parts of her program. As you know, if you watch the last 2 episodes with her, we really got more personal. And we love doing that. We love starting there. But we want to get into what she brings to the table on the other side of her personal story is now part of this organization. And that's not everything of her, but that's another segment of what we want to jump in. So, Ms. Jasmine, what we want you to do, because today, instead of doing the word of the day in the beginning, we may do one later. I'm not promising. But word of the day is still a staple. But today, we're going to have a game at the end before Rise and Fall. Yeah, that's how we doing. Told y'all we could change stuff up if we want to. Different day of the week, different mood. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Judge us not. That's how we go. So we won't do word of the day. We may do one later. We may not. We'll see. Okay. But Ms. Jasmine is going to remind us what Saving Our Tomorrow is all about. And then we're going to throw a whole bunch of questions at her. Miss Jasmine Clay, take it away.
Okay, so Saving Our Tomorrow was founded by myself, my husband, in 2018. What we started out focusing on was the basic necessities aspect of our program. We collaborated on different events because I wasn't sure how to get the nonprofit off the ground. So I did what I knew how to do. I know how to coordinate a really good event. So I can host a party like nobody's business. So that's where I started first with a lot of the Christmas gifts, things like that I could take out into the community that the soldiers weren't using. So we started there, focused on the children, partnered with the Boys Club in East Harlem. That's where I'm from. And we brought it back there first. So that first year, it was amazing. We had games. We had Miss Mickey come out, and she did an amazing just storytelling of her book, Ready, Set, Go. Yes, Ready, Set, Go. And we collaborated face painters. We had some Harlem Shakers out there. You can't be in East Harlem without the Harlem Shakers. So we had them come out, they performed for us, and the kids had an amazing time. My career shifted me further up the Hudson Valley. That shifted me to Poughkeepsie after the whole pandemic. So during the pandemic, we weren't able to do much, but like sharing an inspirational quote or something to keep people moving through that time. So we had fell back for about a year or two. And then 2021, I gave birth to my daughter in October, and I hit the ground running. One of my soldiers is actually, well, he was an assemblyman. I'm sorry, Schmidt, if I messed this up, but Colin Schmidt was my soldier. And he was able to connect me to another nonprofit organization that kind of helped me hit all the check marks for applying for my nonprofit, converting over from an LLC or sole proprietorship. And it just gave me a lot of life lessons. I kind of learned what not to do from them, and also how to do things, how to break in certain doors, because a lot of these organizations are very buddy and they're very territorial. If you're not from the area, they are not going to tell you anything. They don't share experiences with you. So what we started out doing wouldn't necessarily work here until we got into the community and actually seeing what the needs were. And that's what we did when we came up here. So basic necessities, I rounded up as much as I could. I went through all of my connections, military-wise and then community-wise, to gather up toys, clothing, different things. And we had over maybe 3,000 toys. We got a Montessori school to come out, and we hosted our very first block party in 2022. We had the mayor come out, different people. I didn't know how big the political and nonprofit world was, and how they got to take pictures holding babies and kissing people, right? So I didn't understand the relationship, the give and take there. And that hurt me in the beginning because I was giving, but I wasn't receiving anything in return. There was like no help with funding until I actually seen it from the nonprofit I was connected to. I'm purposely not mentioning that nonprofit because they have a lot going on with them right now. But coming back to our purpose and what we're doing, I went and talked to, after this event, I talked to a few assembly members, and I wanted to find out about Poughkeepsie. What were the trouble spots? Where did they need help at? And I did not get a good response. I didn't get a good welcome there. I was told to go work for another nonprofit or, go back to college or whatever. They don't know my background or anything like that when we had the conversation. So it was just really off-putting for me and kind of pushed me a little bit further into grassroots. So I started making my way through the housing developments here in the city of Poughkeepsie. And that's how we expanded on the referral processes and actually going into people's homes and helping them with applications, because that's not something someone will come out and tell you.
No,
I can't read in 2022. I can't fill out this form because I don't understand what it means. They're not going to come out and tell you this. I think I've had one to come out and tell me, hey, I don't really understand this. But then you get like your seniors or your youth who really just don't understand, and you have to walk them through that process. So it kind of opened up the direct and accurate referrals and then advocacy, speaking up for these people, because a lot of them were being rejected for nothing. If they made $1 over, they weren't qualified for assistance, different things. So I started to, which I had to learn harder. I had to show up to these meetings. I had to show up to the Common Council meetings. I had to go to these housing stakeholder meetings. I had to go into all these places so people would know who I am and they would trust me to work with them. And 2022, that September, October, I had connected with the Common Council chair at the time, Natasha Brown. And that's how I got connected to the school district. I actually found out some information that was going on in the school. And that's what started the substance use program and that coalition. I found out there was a 12-year-old girl who had overdosed in 2022. to that earlier part of the year. And she had overdosed in the middle school.
What?
And we had got this information because I connected with the Counter Drug Task Force, which was Army, because I was in the building, and we were able to get Narcan reports. And we seen the ages of where the trouble areas were. And when I seen this 12-year-old on the list, it doesn't tell you any personal information. It just lets you know the where, the when, the how. It doesn't tell you the who or where they are. So I started to pick up on, okay, we need something on substance use. But instead of the 12-year-old and up correspondence in the classes, I started at 5. I was teaching 5-year-olds, and you'll be surprised how much these babies know. So we began working with the middle school and teaching substance use on Saturdays, just to kind of get a feel of what they know, what they're experiencing, and then how we can help on the community side outside of the school district. In the school, they have like this community schools hierarchy. I really don't know how to explain it right now. I'm losing my words, but they are the mediators between the community and the school. They are bringing in organizations to help the school district to flourish. And that's what I became. I would go into the elementary schools. If the kids needed clothing, I would help bring clothing. If they, couldn't afford to go and get an eye exam, we were able to help them with vouchers and different things. So I just pretty much found where the needs were and met the capacity. And that's what I've been doing. Then we got to, because it's multifaceted. Once again, my life is kind of compounded with other things. So after that part, I kind of learned how this particular community operated. If someone didn't like you or if someone didn't know you, they wouldn't work with you. They didn't want to collaborate. But coming from the military aspect of it, more is a greater chance of success, right? If we all come in and did our part, we can actually do something here. We can make some real tangible change. So I tried to do that. I tried to do a lot of collaborations. Hey, I have all of these certifications over 15 years. I can teach pretty much anything. Put me in a game, coach. And that's where, different areas I started building programs for the youth. We did a self-care event. I partnered with the Love Quest Foundation and Hudson River Housing, particularly Anthony Slade. And we did a self-care event for the younger females in the community. We had noticed, because I have a daughter who was in the middle school at the time, but we noticed an uptick in violence with our young girls. And I was just like, it's something. It's something going on, and we got to talk to them. So we did peer educated courses. So we had people who were their age take their skills and teach their peers. They taught skincare. They taught hair care. I brought in body butters. They were able to mix them up, create body scrubs. They loved it. Body, everything. They love to smell good. And then we had a real conversation with them, and we talked about my survival, domestic violence, another woman's survival, just what we went through as girls, as women, what we go through. And some of them opened up to us, and they spoke about their traumas, and human trafficking came up. Now, this is my second occurrence with human trafficking. And I kind of felt like there was something more there. So I started doing a little bit more digging. And that's where working with human trafficking survivors came from. Not only was I working with domestic violence survivors, now this opened me up to human trafficking, and I didn't know how much they related. And a lot of people don't know the real definition behind human trafficking. It's not just overseas. It's here in our own backyards. It's not just happening to Asians. It's not just happening to one race of people. This is affecting all of us, and it's affecting our kids, and it's here in our community. So I started to work along those lines. We just did a domestic violence and human trafficking workshop where we got the leaders in the community to come together to kind of learn from each other on this standpoint, because we noticed there was a lack of response to these reports. Even when it came to child abuse, just CPS based issues. There was a lack of response or a delay. Like it just really didn't matter. At one point, I was told most parents don't make it past a certain point in these investigations. And that kind of triggered the anxiety in me. And I'm like, okay, so how many of these babies have gone untreated? They have no care. Nobody is really following up with them. I think it should be in the school district. They should definitely have some, not just DASA. DASA's for bullying.
Yeah.
Where are your human trafficking toolkits and protocols or your child sexual abuse? None of these things were in the policy for the district. So I started sending it to them. Hey, this is how you can create it. If you find Sam's Club, it wasn't, I guess maybe my delivery was wrong, but it wasn't received very well amongst those communities. So I experienced I wouldn't say full on like blackballing situation, but a lot of people didn't want to work with me because I was speaking up on things that people were uncomfortable talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of set me into another motion. And I connected with, the mayor actually connected me to Family Services of Westchester, and they have a credible mentorship program, credible messenger mentorship program. And I was like, is this something I can actually do? And then it was like, I wasn't really given a choice because I had already had the girls who I was mentoring, but I just didn't have it classified as that from the self-care event who needed help. And there were certain tools that I didn't have at that time to help them. And now I did. So this opened me up to the reentry for children that are coming out of these detention and residential facilities that didn't have anybody to keep them on the straight and narrow path, right? Some of them are being raised by their grandparents. These grandparents are not able to do, they're not following them behind a 16-year-old who's just out here want to be in a gang and different things. So I started building on that. I pulled in mentors to help with this situation. And once we start getting assigned children, I actually placed them with people I felt could help them or could relate to them. And I've had to go up to Albany and train with OCFS. So that kind of opened Saving Our Tomorrow up to not just one lane. It put us in a whole bunch of lanes. We have our care management portion. We actually fought for a contract with one of the housing developments that they had most of the shelter programs here in Poughkeepsie, Hudson River Housing. Mm-hmm. And we started providing care management for their single shelter. This was supposed to be a temporary placement during the pandemic within the county jail. Mm. And it turned into a longer stint. So you had unhoused individuals living in jail.
Whoa.
And it's pretty much just that. It's literally open bays and bunk beds, and that's where they sleep. So, of course, when you have these types of issues and you're dumping mentally ill in there, sex offenders in there, people who are just falling on bad times, you're going to get an upheaval of things that happen. And learning from that over the past year and a half, it's like, it has to change. Like New York City, I worked in the PATH system there, and there was an end to their madness. They were able to place people in different housing depending on their needs. Mm-hmm. Here, they don't have that. So everybody just has to stay in the same location. So you're getting bed bug outbreaks, you're getting mice, they're going off, they're trying to set the place on fire, or you have the woman who thinks she has birds that live and follow her around. So I actually got into that and started doing housing placement and just helping them get the services they need, applying through APS or reporting it through APS of what they're experiencing. I don't think a severely autistic adult should be in the same place as a level 3 a sex offender, and that person should be in there with the guy who just couldn't pay his bills. Things got too heavy during the pandemic, so now he's stuck here for however amount of time, and he can't get out. I don't think those three should be mixed up. Yeah. So I started advocating against that too, trying to get transportation to take them to certain places. because they're coming in from everywhere. They're coming in from Georgia. They're coming in from Florida. It's not just Poughkeepsie. It's not just New York. So that became a bigger issue that Saving Our Tomorrow kind of stepped into. And then that's what triggered the distributions. They needed clothing. I had to find a way to connect that. So I started working with United Way, and they have these big basement areas or just big storage facilities where they keep like hygiene products, like small appliances, just things that you need in your everyday life that these people didn't have. And I would bring it in. I would line everything up, the soap, the shampoo, different things. I made sure we had something that catered to all different types of ethnicities. So we started running there. And then the last portion is connecting with other organizations to run programs. I think last time I talked about running workshops 7 days a week.
Yes.
And we were teaching basic life skills. We were helping guide and giving a safe space for conversations for parents, just to give them that release, because a lot of them were coming from the family shelter. And being someone who's gone through the shelter system, you know how it is to actually live in these facilities. And the drama that happens is it's a whole nother world. And just to have somebody that you can vent to, somebody that is safe, that can give you guidance on where to go, how to do it. I don't have to go to 12 different places just to get these things done. It was a big help for me. And I think I mentioned last time, like, I remember the organizations that brought in socks, that brought in, food for us and helped assist us. And those were the same programs that once I got on my feet, I was able to donate to. I was able to help give back. I was able to go in because I had joined a social club before my nonprofit. So I was always in some type of community service. So it just helped me to be able to go back into these places and know exactly where they were at the time. It gave you that credible messenger credibility, right? You've been through it. You can actually walk somebody else through it. And I think a lot of my test in life is what's added to the testimony and how I'm able to help them, because I know where they are. I'm able to speak to them like they're people and walk them through each stage. And we don't leave them once they get the help that they get. Hey, are you still okay? You got something else we got to work on? We become the family. We become the support system, the community within the community, because we're all going through these things. I lose whatever income I have, I can be in that shelter too. So I think being the person that I am, Saving Our Tomorrow, is just going to continue to grow, because we're going to find more needs that need to be met. And even if we can't meet it in a full capacity, we can do something. And I can't speak for a lot of different organizations, but to speak for us, we want to be mobile. Our whole goal was to help. It wasn't to make money. It wasn't to be better than anyone or get credibility. That's what a lot of people do here as well. I've noticed. It's all about the notoriety. Everybody's name has to be on top. And it's just like, this is not what the mission is for. We're supposed to do a back to school drive. Let's do this. Let's come together and do it. If you don't like this person, it has nothing to do with anything. How many people have worked in spaces where they don't like their coworkers?
Exactly.
I did it for 15 years. I ain't like people, but we went in there and we handled it and we got the mission done. And so coming out and being in this side of the house, like I was explaining last time, is extremely different, because where we were a family that we fought and we loved together and we stood side by side if it came to it, that's not like that here. You have to find the people that God sends to you. Yeah. And we were talking about that before. Like Josane was one of those people. The Love Quest Foundation. Like, she was one of those people. And I thank God for her, because a lot of things she taught me, like, hey, you might not want to go about it this way. Let's go around this way. You understand? And she was able to show me how a real entrepreneur operated. Yeah. And I thank God for all of my mentors and everyone that, some people that just didn't even know they were a mentor to me, helped me to get to where I was. And in the military, they have a saying, right? So you take the 3 best traits from your, I guess, respected leaders, and then you take the 3 worst to know who you want to be as a leader. You take those characteristics or attributes, and you become that. And the things that you don't take from them, you avoid it. You learn from their mistakes, rather than, you making the mistake yourself, because it's already written. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Woo.
But yeah.
When we said saving our tomorrow, did we just get served? Oh, there's nobody else in the building but me. Wait a minute, ain't nobody.
And I'm hoping it made sense, because I understand
what
was going.
Amazing. No, that's why we didn't interrupt. Like, you covered every section that we could ask, and we now are much more aware that you're not a one segment situation. So no, we were not going to interrupt that flow. And I can saving our tomorrow now means more to me, because it multi-dimensional, multi-layered, still developing, more to come.
Yes.
So
that scares a lot of people.
Yeah, I love that. Miss Samuels, I know you got questions. That's all. I didn't know if I should call security.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I want to walk back a little bit to the beginning of your entry into the space of nonprofit world, and you, when I hear your story, it's like you've gone through many revolving doors. Like you've gone yes. in, went out, came back in, and there's this resilience, this persistence that really did not keep you from being turned away and stopping. And so, like, my question is, because you're so community focused, not only just bringing people together, but it sounds like there's just this passion for just making sure people are included, making sure you are a part of things as well. And your journey from the beginning of entering these spaces felt like a very exclusive situation where people kind of kept you out, right? Or tried to keep you out. And so my question is, well, when I say that, I also want to say that that's a very scarcity mindset, right? That only certain people belong here. We're going to keep it within ourselves. It's a exclusive group. And so you kind of just, I feel like your passion for community and inclusion and just bringing everybody together kind of propelled you. But could you speak more to what kept you going when you were in that cycle of a revolving door?
It had to get done. Somebody has to do it, right? It's not going to stop just because I'm going through something or I feel like I'm not being heard. Somebody has to stand and just fight through it. That's what I was trained to do. So I just use it on both sides of the house. When something bad is going on, all right, how can we find the good or the positive in a situation? So that's how I push through. And it also helps me. Like I said before, I suffer from depression, but serving the community helps me. And that makes me feel better. That's kind of on the checklist of when you're leaving the military. Hey, are you going to volunteer? Is this something that you want to do? Because they know it's already embedded in you to help, to take care of something else. Even if it's not in a nonprofit realm, you find a position and you're kind of like the person that's running everything, even if you don't have the title. It's just embedded in us to be a family, to be one, to look out for the next person. And me being brought up that way, it kind of just reinforces that.
Yeah, that's good, because you won't stop this. I just need people to hear that. This is you going through every phase of life, every adventure that comes your way. This is not a turn off button, right? Whether it be saving our tomorrow forever or something else that God puts in your path, you're going to attack it the same way. And I think that's amazing because I would say that often our minority groups and communities are not highlighted in that way. What happens is our shortcomings, our shortfalls, and our past seem to always define our now and our future. And so for me, what I'm taking from what you are saying is that regardless of what social communities will tag me as, because you said I suffer from depression, but I'm not depressed. Okay, I suffer from a thing, but I'm not that thing. I got work to do, and I find a way to make sure what I suffer from doesn't stop me from being who I'm supposed to be in the moment. I mean, you just keep trying to get me emotional. I mean, it's huge. It's huge because so many of us suffer from a thing, and that thing stops us every day from getting up, like every day. And so I wanted to just highlight that as a superpower, to highlight that as something that you should celebrate. I still want you to have your self-care.
Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? I want you to have your self-care, but I think that, as Ms. Sound said, the resilience of that is amazing. And we should all seek to find out our efforts of resiliency and continue to build them, because they could get us out of some of the things that are tagged to us.
Absolutely.
I think it's tremendous. Go ahead, Ms. Sounds.
I'm interested in your building process of this organization. What were some of the competing emotions that happened in you as you were building this? I know that, with new ideas and passions, it can drive us to run fast ahead, and then overwhelm can come too. And then, so what was your process? What were the competing emotions that came up for you?
So if you're, I don't want to say that. If you have to serve on your heart, right? At one point or another, somebody's going to tell you, hey, you can't save the world, right? And sometimes that comes from a place within them to how they feel about themselves. Yeah. And I had to internalize that. I had to feel it. I had to verify the emotion, and then I had to let it go, and I had to look for the truth, right? I'm not trying to save the world. I'm just trying to do my part. And you'll have that. Some people just don't have the faith in you. Like when I went to sit down with that assembly person, and, he told me, maybe work for somebody else or go back to school or whatever, without knowing my background, that could have persuaded me to go in a different route. But just because you can't see my vision doesn't mean it's not meant to be. My vision wasn't for you. God gave that to me. So you're telling me I'm all over the place is not it's not helping. Do you see what I can do, or do you see the attributes, and can you support it? If not, that is perfectly fine. I will find another way. And I usually do. When people tell me I can't do something, that is a personal challenge to me.
Oh, yeah.
And that can be a good and a bad thing.
Yes, it can.
But when it comes to my goals, that I have for myself, for my family, just for life in general, if I'm told I can't do it, I'm definitely going to show you I can. And I'm going to show you how. And I'm going to do it all to where you can see it. This is how I did it. And if you do the same, if your consistency is there, if your work ethic is there, if you actually have the passion that you claim you do, you'll find a way.
Yeah.
And God always sends people in to help you, because he has been sending them since I prayed the prayer. Father, just send me your people, because I don't know who you got me out here with. And he's sent them to me, and I've recognized who they are. And it's just having that faith in yourself, because the naysayers are going to come. But that was huge for me.
Yeah.
Love that.
Miss Sound, no, I totally, yeah. That was relevancy.
Yeah.
Because you
Yes.
tell me I can't. Oh, I can't? All right. God bless you. Next time I
Right.
see you,
God bless your heart, baby.
you're going to realize I've arrived. You're right. And so I've learned when Miss Sound asked about emotion, I was just thinking as I listened to you, Jasmine, I would say that 10 years back, when someone stood in my way, in whichever way, whether intentional or not, anger was my first emotion. I promise you, 10 years ago, anger would have been my first because you're blocking me. They already blocked me as a child now. Now you're trying to block me as an adult. We got the problem.
Yes.
Right? So anger would be my first emotion, followed by frustration, not only with you, but probably myself for even letting you get control over me having an anger situation. So now I moved to frustration with that. And then the third thing that I realized that would end up being is this stubbornness, right? Where all of that comes over into this stubbornness that, good or bad, I'm finna go do this thing.
Yeah.
I did not say Jesus was in that Futurizers. I said 10 years ago. He was still chiseling on my heart.
Absolutely.
Right? So, and that for me was because I grew up in a more male dominant environment. So I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna get frustrated. Now I'm finna fix this thing. And then you're gonna be able to shut up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So that was 10 years ago. I would say that today, even during the pandemic, the emotion that comes for me is more one of gratefulness to God in my life, that anger is no longer the first thing. So now I go to a place of gratefulness that even though you're the naysayer, God didn't tell me no yet. So I still got a shot. And if I still got a shot, I'm winning even before I win. So drastically different from 10 years ago, like drastically different. Like I don't even have no time to be angry, mad, annoyed, frustrated at you, because I'm still waiting for God to say, can I go? Can I pursue? Can I conquer? Do you want me to wait? Like you tell me. And so I commend you, Jasmine, for that, because resiliency, I believe, for you is now more on this positive side of saying, okay, it's okay. I may not have heard the words that I was looking for from you, but it doesn't deter my willingness to see if I can complete this task. And if this task is not for me to complete, there are other things that I have yet to do that I'm going to do. So you haven't delayed anything.
Yes. Yeah. And I had to learn that. I had to learn it because I would let it get to me. And it did affect me in a big way. It would hurt my feelings, especially when people put up barriers to access to certain places, or, just seeing it and you kind of get down in the dumps, right? Oh my God. But when you realize they really don't have any control on that side of the house and stop giving people your control.
Yes.
It works out better in the long run. It's something that we all have to go through at some point. We have to learn how to take control of our own lives and not being so emotional, that wise mind thing. In reality, an emotional state, right in the middle is your wise mind. And that's how you have to control your emotions there.
Yeah, agree. Go ahead, Miss Sounds. It's on you, baby girl. We just out here now. Big guy in the ship. We just rowing.
I'm interested in your pace of work. So how are you what's your pace when you're working in these, in this thing that you've built that you're very passionate about? Do you have to go between slow and fast? How do you kind of get yourself either revved up or slowing down?
So I would say that I am an efficient, lazy person.
Oh, right? Okay. We could
break that all.
I never heard that.
Way down.
I'm gonna break it down for you, right? So I'm an efficient, lazy person. And I don't want to, when I'm ready to rest, I want to be able to rest. So if I know there's something that got to be done, I'm going to just do it. I don't want to have to wait for someone else to do it or wait for a certain day to get it done because it's going to cause anxiety for me. So that's how I build my work structure. I try to get it done before it's actually time for me to submit it. That's how I worked in the military. So it's engraved in me now.
Wow. I have not, I haven't, does that bleed into, how you are in your motherhood and different things like that as well? Got you. In what ways do you see that benefiting you? And in what ways do you see that hurting you sometimes, if it does?
I got a little one trying to get in on this camera right now. Yeah, I can tell what I'm over here doing.
Yes.
But yes. It does bleed over into that because I feel, and it kind of hinders me because I feel like everything should have a plan. But with children, and as mothers, I know you guys know it don't go according to how you planned it. These children are not going to be how you thought they were going to be. They're going to be who they are.
Sure.
So I had to give myself grace because I would get really disappointed and down on myself if something didn't happen the way I seen it. It could be from throwing my children a birthday party to spending time with them. You know, being in the military was hard. So I was overseas for months, almost a year.
Yeah.
I was away from my babies. And that was the hardest thing that I could do. And I had to admit to myself that I wasn't Superwoman, right? I can't be a super mom, a super soldier, a super wife, a super sister, a super friend. This is in all of my relationships. I'm an atypical type of person. So I really don't like when things are unexpected or someone is late, or those things really bother me and give me anxiety. Whether it's in my business, whether it's me being a mother or a wife or a friend, I just really hate to fail. And I think failure for me is one of my biggest fears. And I've worked on this, I don't know, for countless years on therapy because I still can't let it go. Not having control is big, and failure, I don't think is optional. So I'm gonna just keep trying. So I had to learn how to see failure as just my test runs. I had to experience the bad to know what the good feels like, and also to appreciate it, right? To know where it comes from. So another way to put this is, okay, I decided I was going to raise my children completely different from the way my parents raised me. And instead of making them earn everything, I kind of gave some stuff. So now that they're older, they're a little bit spoiled. And even though it's like, I feel like, I did it different from my parents, it's still like, gosh, now how am I going to navigate teaching them how to appreciate what we've done for them in their lives? And that's where I'm at now, especially with my oldest, is just being able to have grace with myself as a mother to know that this is a man now. He has to make his own decisions and his own path. And I had to remember what it feels like to be an 18-year-old myself and where I was at in that juncture of my life. So all of those things together is
yeah. I like that though, for many reasons. One, it's relatable. It's an everyday concern, life living. This is what most of us down here in what Miss Sound and I call the general population. Okay, we're not the entertainers. We're not rocking the stage. We're not, in politics and all these places. General population is the everyday person that's doing what they have to do to survive and try to get to a level of thriving that they could enjoy life on this planet. And what you're describing is exactly what a lot of us are going through every day. So I do love that, one, you found your way to grace. That's amazing. And that you find an opportunity to apply it, whether it's on your skin or the skin of those you've birthed.
Yes.
or on the skin of those that interact with you, or on the skin of those you're serving, right? You are moisturizing them, because you have to moisturize you sometimes when cracks try to show up.
Oh, yes.
You're like, oh no, that's not what we're fin to do. So I do love that, finding your way to grace, continuing to apply grace, continuing to have the training in your life to do the test runs, testing out the theoretical, and then getting to the practical. And still, if it doesn't go your way, build another level, and let's keep building till you get to I won, right? Because that's you need to win in life, in everyday daily living.